Most people do not buy cheese. They buy the idea of cheese. They see a golden block, a fancy label, a foreign name, maybe a picture of a mountain or an old village, and suddenly, the price makes sense. $6, $12, $18 for something the store quietly knows most people do not understand. And that is the problem, because two cheeses can look almost the same in the dairy aisle, but one is made to melt, one is made to stretch, one is made to crumble, one is made to age, one is made to sit on a cracker, and one is mostly there because the packaging convinced you it was special. Once you understand cheese, the whole supermarket changes. The cheap one is not always bad. The expensive one is not always better. And the one with the prettiest label may be the one you should leave right where you found it. So let's decode the cheese case before it quietly drains your wallet one small block at a time. Start with the cheese most people misunderstand first. Processed cheese. This is the orange slice, the square, the burger cheese, the cheese that melts like it was designed in a laboratory because, in a way, it was designed for one job, to melt smoothly. And this is where people get too dramatic. Processed cheese is not automatically evil, and real cheese is not automatically perfect. The question is not, is this fancy? The question is, what is it for? If you are making a burger and you want that smooth, glossy melt, processed cheese can actually do the job better than many expensive cheeses. It melts without split. It wraps around the patty. It gives that classic fast food texture. But here is the catch. If you are paying premium cheese money for something that is mostly useful because it melts smoothly, you may be paying for convenience, not quality. Look at the label. If it says things like cheese product, cheese food, or processed, understand what you are buying. Not poison. Just a product built for melt, consistency, and shelf life. That is the first rule. Do not judge cheese by price. Judge it by purpose. Now look at cheddar. Cheddar is where supermarkets make millions from confusion. Mild cheddar, medium cheddar, sharp cheddar, extra sharp cheddar, white cheddar, orange cheddar, aged cheddar. They all sit there like they are members of the same family wearing different jackets. But the difference is not just color. The difference is time. Mild cheddar is younger. It is softer, creamier, and easier to melt. It is good when you want a gentle cheese flavor that does not take over the dish. Sharp cheddar has been aged longer. It gets stronger, deeper, sometimes crumbly, sometimes slightly tangy. It brings more flavor with less cheese. That matters. If you are making a grilled cheese sandwich, mild or medium cheddar may melt better and feel smoother. But if you are making mac and cheese and you want real flavor, sharp cheddar can carry the whole dish. This is where people waste money. They buy extra sharp cheddar because it sounds premium, then complain it does not melt the way they expected. Or they buy mild cheddar for a recipe that needs flavor, then wonder why the food tastes flat. Cheddar is not one cheese. Cheddar is a timeline. Young cheddar gives you melt. Aged cheddar gives you flavor. Choose the wrong one, and the cheese did not fail. You bought the wrong job. Now mozzarella. This is the cheese that sells itself through one visual, the stretch. Pull a slice of pizza. Long white strings. That is the dream. That is the thumbnail. That is the reason half the internet trusts mozzarella more than it should. But not all mozzarella is made for the same thing. Fresh mozzarella is soft, wet, delicate, and milky. It is beautiful on salads, with tomatoes, basil, olive oil, or simple bread. It tastes clean and gentle. But put too much fresh mozzarella on a pizza without controlling the moisture, and suddenly, the pizza is not romantic. It is wet. The crust gets soft. The center turns watery. Low moisture mozzarella is different. It is firmer, drier, and made for melting. This is the pizza cheese most people actually want when they imagine stretch without a puddle. So, when you see expensive fresh mozzarella and think, this will make my pizza better, be careful. It might make your pizza wetter. Fresh mozzarella is for freshness. Low moisture mozzarella is for pizza performance. That one decision can save a whole dinner. Now, Parmesan. This is where the cheese aisle gets dangerous. Because Parmesan has become one of those words that can mean something very different depending on where you are, what the label says, and how much attention. Real Parmigiano Reggiano is a hard-aged cheese from a specific region, made under strict traditional rules. It has deep savory flavor, a grainy texture, and those tiny crunchy crystals that feel like the cheese has little sparks inside it. But many supermarket Parmesan-style cheeses are not the same thing. Some are perfectly fine for everyday cooking. Some are just hard, salty cheese. Some pre-grated versions are convenient, but they may not give you the same aroma, texture, or melting behavior as a freshly grated wedge. This is the money trap. People buy a tub of grated Parmesan and expect restaurant flavor. But restaurant flavor often comes from grating hard-aged cheese fresh, right over hot food, where the aroma hits immediately. If you want flavor, buy a small wedge and you do not need a huge piece. You do not need to spend like a chef. A small piece of strong hard cheese can do more work than a big container of something dull. That is the second rule. With strong cheese, more is not always better. Better is better. Now let's talk about feta. Feta is not trying to melt. Feta is not trying to stretch. Feta is not trying to behave like cheddar. Feta is sharp, salty, crumbly, and bright. It wakes food up. Put it on salad, eggs, roasted vegetables, flatbread, rice bowls, or anything that feels too rich or too plain, and it cuts through the heaviness. But there is a big difference between good feta and dry, chalky, disappointing feta. Feta stored in brine usually stays softer, wetter, and more flavorful. Crumbled feta in a plastic tub is convenient, but it can be drier and less expressive. Again, not bad, just different. If you want to sprinkle cheese quickly over a salad, crumbled feta works. If you want the cheese itself to matter, buy feta in brine. The supermarket counts on you not knowing this difference. One is convenience. One is character. Now goat cheese. Goat cheese is not for everyone, and that is exactly why people either love it or feel betrayed by it. Fresh goat cheese is soft, tangy, creamy, and slightly earthy. It can make a simple salad taste expensive. It can turn toast into something that feels like a cafe menu item. It pairs well with honey, nuts, roasted vegetables, and fruit. But if you buy goat cheese expecting it to taste like cream cheese, you will think something went wrong. Nothing went wrong. Goat cheese has personality. That personality is the point. Use it when the dish needs brightness and tang. Do not use it when you want silent background creaminess. And here is the practical rule. Goat cheese works best when it is not forced to compete with too many strong flavors. Give it one sweet thing, one crunchy thing, or one roasted thing, and it behaves beautifully. Put it in a crowded dish with too many loud ingredients, and it can taste strange fast. Now Brie and Camembert. These are the cheeses people buy when they want the table to look expensive. Soft, pale, round, creamy, covered with a white rind. They feel fancy before you even cut them. Brie is usually milder and creamy. Camembert is often stronger, earthier, and more intense. But the real issue is this. Many people eat these cheeses too cold. Straight from the refrigerator, soft, ripened cheese can taste muted and firm. It may feel disappointing, almost like the flavor is asleep. Let it sit for a little while before serving, and the texture softens. The aroma opens. The center becomes creamy. Suddenly the same cheese tastes more expensive without costing 1 rupee more. That is the kind of trick supermarkets do not teach, because they would rather sell you a pricier wheel than tell you how to use the one you already bought. With Brie and Camembert, temperature matters. Cold cheese hides. Room temperature cheese speaks. Now blue cheese. This is the cheese that scares people. It looks wrong. It smells strong. It has blue veins running through it like something happened that nobody stopped. But blue cheese is not random spoilage. It is controlled aging with specific molds that create sharp, salty, bold flavor. And because it is so strong, you do not need much. That is the secret. Blue cheese is expensive only if you treat it like cheddar. A little can flavor a whole salad, a burger sauce, a steak topping, or a dip. Use too much, and it bullies the food. Use a small amount, and it creates depth that cheaper mild cheeses cannot imitate. This is one of the few cheeses where the correct amount is usually less than your hand wants to use. If you hate it, fine. Do not force it. But if you like strong flavors, blue cheese is not a snack cheese first. It is a weapon. Use it carefully. Now Gouda. Gouda is a quiet genius because it changes so much with age. Young Gouda is smooth, mild, creamy, and easy to eat. It melts fairly well and works in sandwiches, snacks, and simple cooking. Aged Gouda becomes completely different. It turns deeper, nuttier, firmer, sometimes with little crunchy crystals. It can taste almost caramel like in a savory way. So when you see Gouda, do not just ask, is it Gouda? Ask, how old is it? Young Gouda is friendly. Aged Gouda is serious. And smoked Gouda is its own thing entirely. Smoky, Bold, easy to overuse, but powerful in mac and cheese, burgers, eggs, or sandwiches. This is another place where people waste money by buying the wrong version or the wrong moment. Aged Gouda on a cheese board? Excellent. Egg Gouda in a recipe where you wanted smooth melt? Maybe not. Young Gouda for snacking? Great. Young Gouda when you wanted deep flavor? Too quiet. Same name, different job. Now Swiss cheese. When people say Swiss cheese, they usually mean the pale cheese with holes. The holes became more famous than the flavor. Swiss-style cheeses are often nutty, mild, slightly sweet, and good for sandwiches, melts, and classic combinations like ham and cheese. But the important thing is this. Swiss cheese is not there to scream. It is there to balance. If cheddar is sharp, Swiss is calm. If blue cheese is loud, Swiss is polite. That makes it useful, but also easy to overpay for if you expect drama. Use Swiss where you want melt and mild nuttiness. Sandwiches, omelets, burgers, hot melts, simple lunch food. Do not buy it expecting a huge flavor punch. That is not its job. And that word matters again. Job. The cheese aisle becomes simple when every cheese has a job. Now Provolone. Provolone is one of the most useful cheeses people forget about. It melts well. It slices well. It works in sandwiches, hot subs, burgers, and baked dishes. Mild Provolone is smooth and easy. Sharper Provolone has more bite. It is not as famous as cheddar. It is not as trendy as Brie. It does not show off like mozzarella. But in a hot sandwich, Provolone can be exactly right. This is the kind of cheese ricotta is not a melting cheese. It is soft, creamy, slightly grainy and gentle. It is used in pasta fillings, lasagna, desserts, toast, pancakes, and spreads. People waste ricotta by expecting it to act like mozzarella or cream cheese. It will not. Ricotta gives softness. It gives body. It gives a quiet, creamy texture. In lasagna, it helps create layers. In stuffed pasta, it becomes the filling. On toast, it becomes a blank canvas for honey, fruit, pepper, or herbs. But cheap watery ricotta can make dishes loose and disappointing. If it looks too wet, draining it can improve texture. That is the trick. Sometimes the difference between a good dish and a watery dish is not a more expensive cheese. It is simply removing excess moisture. Now, cottage cheese. Cottage cheese has been dragged into health trends, diet plates, gym meals, and old-school breakfasts. But underneath all that noise, it is just a mild, fresh cheese with curds. It is high in protein compared with many creamy foods, but it is also very texture-specific. Some people love it. Some people cannot get past the curds. Do not buy cottage cheese because the internet told you it is magic. Buy it if you like the texture and you have a use for it. It can work with fruit, toast, eggs, bowls, or blended into smoother mixtures. But if you hate the texture, no motivational video will fix that. Food should solve a problem, not create a new punishment. Now, cream cheese. Cream cheese is where breakfast quietly becomes expensive. It is soft, spreadable, mild, slightly tangy, and built for bagels, frosting, dips, sauces, and spreads. But cream cheese is not the same as a hard cheese. It does not bring big aged flavor. It brings fat, smoothness, and tang. So when a recipe uses cream cheese, it is usually using it for texture. That means you should be careful with premium versions. If the cream cheese is the star, like on a bagel, with a few simple toppings, quality matters more. If it is buried inside a dip, with garlic, herbs, hot sauce, and other strong flavors, the expensive version may disappear. That is a rule you can use everywhere. If the cheese is the star, buy better. If the cheese is buried, buy smart. Now paneer. Paneer is important because it breaks the rules many Western cheese buyers expect. It does not melt like mozzarella. It does not stretch. It does not turn into a sauce. It holds its shape when cooked. That is why it works so well in dishes like curries, grilled skewers, stir-fries, and spice preparation. It absorbs flavor from the sauce around it while staying firm. If you buy paneer expecting pizza behavior, you will think it failed. But paneer is not failing. Paneer is doing exactly what it was built to do. It is a cooking cheese, not a melting cheese. That makes it powerful in the right dish and completely wrong in the wrong one. Now halloumi. Halloumi is another cheese that refuses to melt the way you expect. It can be grilled or fried until golden, and instead of collapsing into a puddle, it holds its structure. It becomes salty, chewy, crispy on the outside, and soft inside. This is why restaurants love it. It looks impressive. It feels premium. It gives people that golden seared surface that makes food look expensive. But halloumi is salty. Very salty for some people. So if you use it, balance it with freshness, lemon, cucumber, tomato, herbs, fruit, or something acidic. Do not pile salt on salt and then blame the cheese. Halloumi is not subtle. It needs contrast. Now American-style cheese, cheddar, mozzarella, Parmesan, Feta, goat cheese, Brie, blue cheese, Gouda, Swiss, Provolone, Ricotta, cottage cheese, cream cheese, paneer, and halloumi all sound like separate names. But really, they are a map. Some cheeses melt. Some stretch. Some crumble. Some grate. Some slice. Some fry. Some spread. Some stand alone. Some disappear into the dish. And the biggest mistake people make is buying cheese by status instead of function. That is exactly how you waste money. You buy Parmesan when you needed mozzarella. You buy fresh mozzarella when you needed low-moisture mozzarella. You buy extra sharp cheddar when you wanted a smooth melt. You buy Brie and eat it cold. You buy crumbled feta when you wanted creamy feta and brine. You buy expensive cheese and bury it under hot sauce, garlic powder, and 3 other flavors. Then you think good cheese is overrated. It is not overrated. It was misused. Here is the simple buying system. For melting, think mozzarella, mild cheddar, provolone, Swiss, young Gouda, or processed cheese if you want that smooth burger melt. For big flavor, think sharp cheddar, Parmesan-style hard cheese, aged Gouda, blue cheese, Feta, or goat cheese. For spreading, think cream cheese, goat cheese, ricotta, or soft brie when properly served. For grilling or frying, think halloumi or paneer. The best cheese is not the one with the fancy, it is the one that knows exactly what it is there to do.